What's going on, everybody? Eric Lindquist at Stochastic here on the Odd Chopper channel, coming to you with another edition of NBA Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell. Goes a long way for me on this video. Goes a long way for you. That way you become apprised of our great content is going live here at our little net of the YouTube woods. I don't know why I tripped up on my words there, but we won more than we lost on Monday, which was lovely. And then Tuesday, Jonathan Isaac, he gets a rumbling his tumbly, ends up with a Q tag, and then he ends up leaving the game after like 2 minutes. It was the dumbest thing ever, but we redeemed ourselves in the premium Discord. Oh, it's looking really, really good. Claxton, over 7.5 rebounds. He just got like 7 rebounds in a row coming out of the half in the second half. It was unbelievable. So cash that. He gets to 8. And D'Angelo Russell is 1 away from cashing the plus 120 ticket there. Wish I had done more combinations of the two in that same single game parlay. Maybe put Brooklyn attached to it. But I digress, friends. Good caching over here in the premium Discord. It's been good times, good times, good times. But we got ourselves 2 games here on Tuesday night. We're not going to cover those. We're going to cover 9 games on Wednesday. We're recording here like about, just an hour, right of 9 p.m. Eastern time, 6 p.m. Pacific. So plenty of time here ahead of time. Got a ton of news on like the Clippers that ended up rolling in. We got a ton of news to be breaking down because there's some weird stuff in the NBA scheduling. They have almost nobody playing on Friday, only 3 games. Saturday, every team but 2 play, and then Oklahoma City, Portland are playing on Sunday because they don't want to compete with the NFL, which totally makes sense, but like these schedule makers are absolutely out of their minds this season. I have no idea what's going on. Also, the back-to-backs thing, we got to figure out at some point. We got to figure that out at some point. Either play them all or don't play any of them. Never have a back-to-back again, and we can just move on with our lives. But anyway, Lindy50, if you guys want to jump into the premium Discord, at Eric Lindquist, you can follow me there. I threw a betting thread together, talking through all the ins and outs of the slate. I think I'm going to do a locks update tomorrow, purely because 9 games. I want to give you updated information. So if you're watching this video now, head over to at Eric Lindquist. It'll be sometime in the early morning, mid-afternoon there on the East Coast, definitely in the morning there on the West Coast. Check it out. Would love to see you guys there. And yeah, give me a follow. Would love to see you. But let's stop talking and start breaking down some basketball, shall we? Producer Jacob, hi, hello. Let's get to the picks. Game number 1, Detroit, 2.5-point dogs here going up against Atlanta. And I say that kind of like with some trepidation because I had to remodel this multiple times, purely because I was like, oh, I mean, Detroit's been playing some really, really good ball. And there's one massive Q tag that exists here in this one. And what is that? It is Jalen Johnson. Jalen Johnson on the Atlanta side of things is really going to matter. Now, they also have Keaton Wallace, Dominic Barlow, Daquan Plowden, Gaye, a number of Q tags that exist there as well that are on G League 2-way contracts. And that actually matters with Risa Shea still on the well, not the IR. That's not really a thing. He's still out for another 4 to 5 games. And then Larry Nance Jr., he's going to be out for another month or so. So we're looking at a thin potential Atlanta lineup. But Trae Young could be getting all the usage and all the land. There's lots you could look at. But if you get Jalen Johnson's offensive rating off the floor here, you're not going to replace him with anything of equal value. You're just not. And Cade Cunningham up against Trae Young only. Oh, boy. Best of luck to you with that one, Atlanta. They're going to have Dyson Daniels on Cade Cunningham. Let's be dead serious. But as I look at this game, everything is screaming under. And, well, I modeled this closer to 230. The only reason that I'm not going to jam this one right from the get-go is, 1, it's an under, and I know a lot of people don't like those. They almost, like, pretend like they don't exist. Don't do that. But then number 2, if Jalen Johnson ends up playing, that goes up a tiny, tiny bit. I've got this middled. So looking at the under as a pretty straightforward play to get our card going. Plus, we've hit 4 unders on totals in a row. So that's always nice. Let's keep that rolling. There's another one coming up later. Don't you worry. Under 235.5. I like it. Hard to have revenge in your heart if you're Kevin Durant. 1, you got out of Brooklyn. 2, there's nobody left. The remnants of Brooklyn are few and far between. James Harden, he's been gone forever. Your other running mate, Kyrie Irving, been gone forever. Sure, he still wants to go beat up on them. Kevin Durant generally tries to win basketball games. That's his job. Phoenix minus 9.5 taking on Brooklyn. Brooklyn on the back-to-back. In fact, they're the only team on the entire slate out of all 18 that are in play, 9 games total, that are on a back-to-back. So Cameron Johnson ended up spraining his ankle a little bit. He ended up playing through it here in this second half of the Knicks game. And in fact, what is that? 76-64. So it got a little bit wonky here towards the end. I'm paying attention to his minutes purely because if something were to happen where we don't see him finish it out, well, you might see him rest here on the back-to-back, especially knowing the trade deadline is coming up here in 2 weeks? 2 weeks and change. And then the other part Cameron Johnson is a huge target for it, so I wouldn't be shocked to see Brooklyn finagle the injury report. Plus, Ben Simmons, he was ruled out with an illness out of the middle of nowhere on Tuesday. So it's definitely something that has a push and pull effect. Talk about how the assist rate, if you have D'Angelo Russell rest on the back half of this one here on Wednesday, you could see Ben Simmons with like the interesting alts on the assist props, whereas D'Angelo Russell, that's where he ended up jamming him over 6.5, over 7.5 assists in the premium Discord. He hit that 7 mark. Let's see if he can get one more for the people. That would be fun. And Claxton, yeah, thank you for learning how to rebound at the beginning of that second half. He's up to 9. So we're looking here at an interesting game. I'm talking a lot of kerfufflery here because the Suns, they have 2 big Q tags with a ton of implications in the trade market as well. Actually, one's not a Q tag. Yusuf Nurkic will be sitting. The big one is Bradley Beal. And Bradley Beal, there's a weird trade that the Suns threw out into the ether. They traded 1 pick away for future 2031 first-round picks. I mean, we're weird stuff coming from the Phoenix side of things. Bradley Beal has to sign off in any kind of a trade, so we'll see what they're able to pull off that will interest Bradley Beal. I'm sure he's got a list of teams where he says yes, and they can pull the trigger on it. Miami, that seems like a fun place. No state income tax, and the women are not unattractive. Yeah. I love my wife. Phoenix minus 9.5. Just a lean. We're not going to play it. I don't know what producer Jacob was trying to instill in me there. I love my wife. Minnesota, 1.5 that they're getting going against Dallas. And we saw Derek Lively sit out the last one. And in the premium Discord, we cashed plus 200 double-double for Daniel Gafford in like 2.5 quarters. He absolutely eviscerated Mark Williams. And Mark Williams, wow, are we mad at him, but we're going to be running something back with him later. So that's unfortunate for everybody involved. Oh, yeah. He had crazy foul trouble, and I don't agree with the number on him. But I don't agree with this number either, but I'm a little bit concerned. Because you get PJ Washington defense. We know he can be one of the more markedly great defenders on the floor. And I think there's a lot of ways where Maxi Kleber, also a very good defender, ends up on Naz Reid for quite an abundance of minutes. It's not like teams aren't noticing how good Naz Reid has been. Plus, Rudy Gobert, man, we're stuck with him. There's no trade deadline stuff you can do with it. It's just like, do you want to win a basketball game? Play more Naz Reid going towards the end of it. Just play more Naz Reid. His offensive, defensive numbers this season have been great whenever he's on the floor. It's just that we always cap him out around 26, 27 unless there's an injury. Well, we got a little bit of injury news to go towards that direction last time out, although Rudy Gobert ended up playing. He was still dinged up, didn't play a full allotment of minutes, and Naz Reid got hot against Memphis. So I'm feeling hot somewhat. 14.5 is a low number for a guy who's averaging nearly 19.5 here over his last 5. I feel pretty absurd about this one. I want to see more books open numbers because if I disagree with the market here already, I literally have to take my time. Naz Reid over 14.5 points. Just a lean for now. Ow, I hit my elbow. That really hurt. Ow. Keep going. Cleveland minus 2.5 taking on Houston. I'll be okay. Play through the pain. What is it? Houston. We've got tons of injury news that we have to cover here, mainly because Jabari Smith continues to be out. Oh, wait, that's literally the only piece there. And Karis LeVert, he's questionable. We already know Mobley and Okoro are going to be out. The Evan Mobley piece, yes, that matters big time when you're taking on a team like Houston. And yet, we get the Cavs showing up being favored. I'm not sure that I 100% agree with that one either, but I guess Jabari Smith really matters. Cleveland, I think this already got bet down within like the course of me beginning this show to 1.5 because I just refreshed it over at OddsShopper, which you should be using for the odds grid every single day. Plus, you should be tracking all of your bets and doing all of that. Lots of enhancements coming to Bet Tracker very, very soon. Can't wait to share those. In addition to Portfolio EV being the hottest tool on the market, you can sign up for that down below here as well. Portfolio EV, real ones know, but real ones also know how good. We had Fred VanVleet play last time out. I don't expect that kind of usage coming his direction. We've seen Jalen Green eat up a lot more of it. But Amen Thompson, man, what are these minutes? He goes up against his brother Asar. He's played 40-plus minutes in 3 of the last 4 here for Houston. And it's another competitive spot. Now, one of the problems with that is those are all going to be efficient numbers. But again, with only Karis LeVert questionable here, yes, you get Evan Mobley, one of the better defenders off the floor. But how do we get 233.5 here? I've just ran this multiple times, every iteration. Once again, going closer to that 226.5, 227.5 type numbers. Now, the reason I'm not locking this one is, again, I know you don't like your unders. Nobody said, hey, great plays on the unders last time out, Eric. Hit 4 of them in a row. We'll see if we can hit the 2 today. Otherwise, I'm going to feel like a real dunce cap. Premium Discord friends, I would love to see you there, mainly because we are putting plays that are not available to you here now. And yes, I'm going to do a Lindy's Locks update tomorrow. Yes, I'll easily be able to cover some of the Friday stuff because there's only 3 games. I'll probably do multiple threads over on X for that. But if you want to get all of my plays and talk process, people are asking every single day, Eric, what do you have him projected for? That guy projected for? How many minutes do you have him projected for? We're talking process on bets all the live long day. And you can sign up for it at the link below using code Lindy50 and get yourself the first week for $10 or the first month for $25. That is an awesome deal. And after that, yeah, it's $20 for your first week, or sorry, for your next week, $50 for your next month. But going forward, I think you'll see the value of that premium Discord. Plus, you'll have direct access to me. You want to come troll me? Come troll me. You wouldn't be the first person. But Lindy50 friends, down at the link below, sign up for the Tails package. Would love to see you there in my Discord. Back to the picks we go. And D'Lo just cashed. Third quarter cashes. Both him and Claxton in the Discord. God, that felt good. Needed those. Those looked really, really nice. Charlotte, 12.5 that they are getting going up against Memphis. And Memphis, man, walking in Memphis. Walking with my 10 feet off the beat. John Morant got in some like real tiffies there against my Minnesota Timberwolves, but they end up coming from behind, finding themselves the W. They have just Jake LaRavia on the injury report right now. He's doubtful. Whereas Cam Spencer, Marcus Smart, and Vince Williams all officially out. Now, G.G. Jackson came back, wasn't really in the rotation, played a couple of minutes, and obviously if you were DK DFS in the tails, well, you did a sharp thing and you bet a bunch of those unders. I did not see that in time, and I am still in shambles. That is a great way to get value. If you think somebody's going to be on the court for like a second and they have like a 13.5 PRA sitting on them, well, pretty advantageous to click that less button, that under button. But I look at tomorrow's game here specifically, and I see a mismatch. Obviously, Memphis, they've been the number 2 team here in the West all season long, but I do think Mark Williams has a decent shot of making Zach Edey his you-know-what. Now, Zach Edey might not be long for this game. They've pulled the hook on him pretty quickly in some spots unless he gets off to a good start. And it becomes Jaren Jackson Jr. at the 5. And Santi Aldama, who I continue to be a huge, huge fan of, they slide him down and play the 4. They also bring Brandon Clark out there in relief duty for a couple of minutes. Good to see him back out on the floor. But I'm hoping Mark Williams eviscerates all of them because Mark Williams is playing tons of minutes. Now that Nick Richards has been sent to the Shadow Realm and it's Diabate playing backup center minutes, it took massive, massive foul trouble for Mark Williams to get himself all the way down here. Look at this. Look at this. 30 minutes he only played. He put 13 and 13 despite having 2, 2, and 0 in the first half of that game because he ran into 4 fouls in the first 10 minutes. It was a joke. But what's nice is we're getting an up-tempo spot, 237.5 total. And if this game stays tight, you're going to have Mark Williams smash 26.5 PR. That is points plus rebounds. Now, what I did was I attached the spread with it this time. This is kind of what we do with Peyton Pritchard in spots with the minus sign in front of it. We'll talk through Boston. Don't you worry, your sweet Bippy. But Mark Williams, I like attaching to Charlotte here because I think there's lots of ways then in the fourth quarter, where it's already 15, 16 points. You might not see the floor again, and you're probably not getting there in the 26.5. So it's a nice way to buoy your single game parlays. Think about runouts for it. Think of range of outcomes. There aren't many times Mark Williams goes over in this scenario for like 30, 35 and just smashes it away, or Charlotte doesn't at least cover in this spot. Milwaukee at New Orleans. And I will say this, I think Milwaukee, are they one of the more slept on teams in basketball here at this point? I'm not saying that they're good. Do not misinterpret what I'm saying. I'm not saying that Milwaukee in their current iteration is good because Doc Rivers still exists. They still have to play in the East, and you have to deal with that one guy, which is, well, all the guys on Boston. That's really what it comes down to. But if you look at their recent string of play, they've been playing some good ball. Now, it's been against some absolute cave dwellers here of late. Look at this. Philly, Toronto, Orlando, Sacramento. But you can't really downgrade 4 in a row here, and Milwaukee's starting to put the pieces together. But I am looking at the Pelicans side of this one so heavily. Now, I'm probably not going to be playing the 8.5 here. I think this one gets bet in the Milwaukee direction. So I'm making this a lean. I'm not even making this a lean like for the time being, but Zion Williamson's questionable. Once again, we have this deadline, this trade deadline showing up, and I think Zion showed in like 23, 24 minutes that he's played here since coming back that he can show up and smash any given night for you. If New Orleans is trying to rebuild, if they're trying to sell off pieces, I don't know how this works. I doubt there's a sign-in trade with Bradley Beal. Obviously, Zion alongside a Kevin Durant, that would be just insane to watch, although I don't see how that, you'd have to like slide Durant to the 3 at this point in time. But I'm thinking about so many iterations of New Orleans where they are trying to either ship out Zion plus DeJounte, Zion plus CJ. They're going to need a third team. That's a lot of salary to take in and find ways to be able to finagle around the league. But I do think that if he ends up playing this spot and getting 24 minutes of him as opposed to, I don't know, 24 minutes of Jeremiah Robinson Earl off the bench, you're in a really good spot. Now, this is already at plus 275 right now. I want to see like the plus 300 type number here. If I get that, if that shows up here against New Orleans, or against Milwaukee, that is, with the New Orleans side, modeling likes it. So it's a little bit brutal. I know it's a tough one to stomach, but it's plus 275 at bet 365. Damn good. Fine. I'll sock it to you one more time. Get it low. I haven't done that for a while. Like an 18-wheeler. Utah at OKC. Ho, 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 ho. 17.5. How you doing this fine day? Lauri Markkanen's like expected to play too. So like, that's just how brutal of a mismatch this is. Now, I guess he's questionable with back spasms, but he got upgraded on the injury report. He's been out a couple of these. Now, Bryce Sensabaugh, also questionable. John Collins, also upgraded to questionable. This is the time of the year where the guys who are put on bubble wrap, well, there's about a week audition period. You want to go play for another team? Show people that you can play basketball, and maybe they go reach for you. Now, nobody wants John Collins. Nobody paid him after Atlanta basically said, nah, we're good, gave them the nah wave and moved on with their lives. But I'm leaning towards the over, 220.5 here in this one. OKC, best defensive team in the NBA, but no Isaiah Hartenstein. We haven't really seen that catch up to them here yet. They've played some competitive games, but shooting the ball just ridiculously well. Chet, AJ Mitchell, still a ways away from coming back, but Isaiah Hartenstein, he'll be back soon. He's expected actually over the weekend at some point. Sunday, maybe, for a game against Portland. Portland sucks, man. Over 220.5, just a lean for now. Nothing. Probably going to be more prop centered, maybe around some blowouts. 2 games to go. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell as we break down Golden State taking on Sacramento. And hey, I've bet Sacramento twice this season. I'm 1-1 now. I know that that's losing 10 cents to the old vig, but I will say, feels good. Feels good to be in the win column with Sacramento backing them, but we're going to do the exact opposite here. Now, this almost ended up a lock, but I think what's happening, because I tried to figure it out the other day, why are guys showing up as better players on the Sacramento side? It has 2 main pieces. 1, Malik Monk being back, playing some major minutes for them. And 2, less minutes for Kevin Huerter and more for my guy, my absolute freaking dude, Keon Ellis. This guy defensively, I don't know if you've gotten the pleasure of watching him. I know ball. Keon Ellis can play some basketball on the defensive end. Some of his deflection numbers, if you look at NBA.com, are absolutely through the roof. And yes, I am looking at things, but I very much want you here for Golden State getting 8.5, coming off of an embarrassing loss against Boston. Steph Curry, press conferences where you see Steph Curry have that fire in him, they get me excited. I almost thought about the money line here as well, just the similar way I did here with New Orleans. But the one glaring issue with that is you're still playing basketball without Draymond Green. And Draymond Green, Jonathan Kuminga, Brandon Bajemski, Kyle Anderson all out for this one. It's very thin there at the 4. They're playing minutes for Moody. They're playing minutes for Wiggins. They're playing minutes for Gary Payton started last game. Guy Santos is basically the only true 4 that they have on the roster right now. Oh boy, it's tough times if you're Golden State there. At some of those, I like what we saw. Limited minutes for Kevon Looney. He generally go out and get you a rebound or 40 of them. But Golden State plus 8.5. We like it. Let's get to the lock, shall we? To my favorite play of the day. Now, this opened at 5.5. Got bet to 6 immediately. And then we got the onslaught of news. This is we're paying attention to the schedules every single day, which is kind of my job. It's my job to give you good stuff and like to give you good plays. I know that some people think the opposite, but I'm just throwing it out there. I were doing this for 5 years and just randomly on a YouTube channel without actual things to say, without actual good information, I think I would have gotten turned off by now. But you know what? I'm not fucking leaving. Not fucking leaving. They're going to need we're not going to do the bit. Boston, now 8.5-point favorites taking on the Clippers. What news am I throwing out there? Well, of course, what? I'll just tell you. Kawhi Leonard is out. Kawhi Leonard ends up sitting out of nowhere. And that's weird because the Clippers are one of the teams on a back-to-back here Wednesday to Thursday. And that's what I'm talking about with the schedule. Who do they play on Thursday? Washington. Now, they had a weird loss the other night to Chicago. Chicago was a pretty decent favorite, I thought, 7.5. A lot of people on the Chicago side, a lot of sharp people that I actually respect too. A lot of people in the Discord asking me questions about Chicago. Sadly, I wasn't there for it, but I will be here for the Boston side of this one because who else is questionable in the injury report? Literally everybody of value. James Harden, Chris Dunn, Norman Powell, Nicholas Batum. All of them rest candidates. That's what they're on the injury report with. I would be shocked if we didn't get at least 2 of the 4 sitting. And obviously, it would be best to see Norman Powell. Then the next best would be James Harden. And the next best would be Chris Dunn, followed by Nicholas Batum, who plays the fewest minutes, although can be a good contributor on multiple teams like we've seen in his career. But Drew Holiday is questionable. Al Horford is questionable. There are lots of times books are very slow to roll out Peyton Pritchard props. And that's the only reason I didn't attach this to the plays like the Mark Williams one I had above, where we're talking Mark Williams, 26.5 points plus rebounds, and then attaching the Charlotte spread. I'm going to play the Boston spread now because I don't want this at double digits when I wake up in the morning. And I also don't want to wake up in the morning to James Harden being ruled out, to Chris Dunn being ruled out, to Mr. Norman Powell, the most important of all of them because of his offensive rating, ruled out. It would be a stone cold frickin' disaster. So Boston, let's get in on this now. But don't forget, Peyton Pritchard, if you're listening to me on Wednesday morning and you see 12.5, 11.5 here with that Drew Holiday pending here, this is not your normal Clipper situation with a ton of defensive value because Chris Dunn comes in and does his thing. You would be looking, if you got Chris Dunn off the floor, at James Harden, Kevin Porter Jr., Terrence Mann, decent defender, and Bones Highland potentially being your main guys. Amir Coffey would walk into a ton of minutes here in this spot. But no matter how I model this, everything has me all over Boston. Minus 8.5. I love it in this spot. And again, Peyton Pritchard, you know by now, we've picked our spots correctly with him there in the Discord and on this program. This is a lean for now. I'll address it once we get some opening numbers tomorrow. And that does it for a quick and easy edition, sub 25-minute edition of Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks for this Wednesday 9 gamer. Head to the comment section below. Let me know your favorite plays that exist on the board for this lovely slate we have before us. 50% off using code Lindy50 if you want to sign up for my Tails package. That is the premium Discord, direct access to me every single Sunday through Saturday. Yes, that would be 7 days a week. My wife loves me, I think. I love her too. Just want to throw that out there. Until next time, friends, thank you, producer Jacob. I'm Eric Lindquist. Best of luck in the NBA streets on Hump Day.